So yeah, Weathering with You. This is the fourth feature film and fifth film project by Makoto Shinkai. Fourth because he's done four big feature films and one OVA. It was 5 centimeters per second.
Yeah.
And Voices of a Distant Star. That's a good one. So this is basically a spiritual successor to Your Name, but it's also kind of like in the same universe because it has cameos from the characters of Your Name.
A bit of the same plot too, but it's. I think one of the best things about Shinkai is that he like anything that dabbles with the supernatural. There's always like, I think
The human element.
he always dabbles in like consequences of like dealing with this. And,
like in Children Who Chase Lost Voices, Journey to
one.
Agartha. The whole movie is about trying to bring the dead back to life, and like they say in Jurassic Park, you were so focused on whether or not you could, you didn't bother asking yourself whether or not you should. So it's like yeah, we have supernatural powers, but should we rely on this to help ourselves, or should we just like, or should we like we have to respect the balance of nature and all that stuff. It's
with Weathering with You, we get a lot of the same like dealing with the consequences of this time it's Mother Nature, and so the whole story surrounds these two teenagers. One is Hodaka, the boy, and he runs
their names.
he runs into Hina, a girl who can control the weather, and but it's not the way you think. She's not Storm from the X-Men.
Yeah.
It's
basically you put all the responsibility on one person. It's like with great power comes great responsibility, that kind of stuff.
And yeah. So the thing is, she prays to the gods for this.
We see in a flashback her mother's dying, and she prays to the gods to let her walk with her mother in the sunshine for just one more day, and because it's raining outside the hospital when their mother's dying, we see in a flashback, and so then we see that she gets the power to control the weather, but every time she uses this power, it sucks up some of her life force, and her body becomes translucent. It was interesting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think with this type of movie, you know that there is going to be something. You're gonna have to pay this sort of debt to the gods, and this literally happens. She becomes she will become a human sacrifice every time she clears up the sky.
Yeah, so at first they think it's all fun and games, saying it's all fun and games if somebody gets hurt. It's they use her power to grant people's wishes when they want it to be the sky to be clear, because Tokyo is being affected. Even though it's August, Tokyo is being affected by heavy rainfall and big storms. So they use her powers to make other people's lives happy and make themselves money in the meantime. One thing, though, that I really want to point out that I think was kind of interesting was the absurd amount of product placement. Like, there's at least 3 scenes where they zoom on his iPhone. It's an Apple, and it's not just the logo. It says iPhone X. Then there's, let's see, McDonald's. They use Yahoo instead of Google. Yahoo Japan, Forever 21, the clothing store. I guess it's very interesting the fact that they're trying to make it seem more realistic. I mean, there are lots of animes which just fudge and call it Danny's instead of Denny's, or
I feel like I don't know. I really didn't see it as like product placement. I think it's just that's kind of the way it is. People. Japan has McDonald's now.
Yeah, I know. And what I like was that I think the reason there's so much product placement in this movie is the last movie, Weathering with You, had a fictional town right next to a real one, and once the movie came out, it became so popular, people were going to the real town because they wanted to see where the location where the fictional town in that movie was located. They realized, hey, this movie's so popular, if we get this guy tons of money to put our ads in it and flood with ads, people might like our ads. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like, it doesn't really take you out of the movie, but it's very in your face. Like I said, there's at least 3 times in the movie where they zoom in on the phone and it says iPhone X in big bold font, or on a woman's computer she's using an an apple. It was interesting. It wasn't like so. Like they weren't like in your face about where it became obnoxious.
Well,
But you definitely, but you could definitely tell that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a little ads in your movie. I mean, if it's done well.
Yeah. Well, I think. Yeah. Well, I think it does kind of include you're kind of marketing this kind of business out of controlling the weather, and it's part of it is like making money.
Yeah.
And you're building this product. You're turning this sort of gift into a product, and
yeah.
Again, like you said, it's like all fun and games until like the moment where it becomes, there's the consequences.
What I like the most about Makoto Shinkai's films is he focuses on the human aspect of being put into a fantasy world. I mean, this isn't really a fantasy world; it's our world, but it's being affected by fantasy elements. But the first half of the movie is a very good slice of life drama, and the second half is a more.
I think it
is a more action oriented.
It sets up this sort of thing that comes. It sets up the scenario that will eventually come to pass, and what happens because of it. So obviously they're teenagers, but one thing that comes into play is the fact that Hodoka is actually arriving in Tokyo as a runaway.
Yeah, because I forgot the reason why exactly.
It's like one of those films where someone just decides to run away from home.
Yeah, it reminded me of Shazam, when Billy Batson he's a runaway kid and then he gets power to summon lightning. In this movie, there's a scene where he gets his girlfriend to summon lightning to distract the cops. So when they're trying to arrest him, lightning strikes a bus and it blows up.
Well, she does that. Well, she kind of does that on her own.
Yeah, so it kind of reminded me that scene reminded me of Shazam. That was pretty funny.
There's like this, and because of that, there's like a little bit of a subplot where the police are searching for Hodoka.
Yeah, because they caught him on camera. He found a gun they thought was a toy, and apparently this is the one subplot that didn't really they delve into that much. Apparently, guns in Japan are a very big deal. So when they say in the very beginning, we found 16 guns and like 1,800 bullets, I mean, wow, for Japan that's a lot of guns. And he finds one of them in a garbage can that he knocks over. I guess the guns only there to progress the plot. They should have, in my opinion, they did a really good job of the main cast, the subcast. They got some screen time, like the guy who adopts him. He's got a daughter with asthma, and his mom was.
So when Honoka first arrives in Tokyo and he has to get a job, he runs into this guy who runs running a magazine.
Some tabloid clickbait, not really clickbait, like yellow journalism, I don't know what it's called. Tabloid clickbait articles about the occult, and so he gets involved in that stuff. And then towards the end, you realize that he was just doing it for he doesn't really believe in that stuff himself, but then he sees Hodoka's determination and starts to trust him more, and believes in him more. And
of course he. Eventually, he finds out that Hodoka is in cahoots with Hina to control the weather, and so obviously he has them have the son so he can be with his daughter.
Yeah, because his ex-wife, I think, his ex-wife doesn't want her being near his daughter because she's asthmatic and he smokes lots, and the only time she lets him be with his daughter is when it's sunny outside because she doesn't like being in the rain because he is, and so that was a nice little subplot.
I think that was a good thing because I knew that he was going to be involved with like the whole police investigation.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't really happen until the third act of the movie, which thankfully it's
solid.
Yeah, it's solid enough, and it
He
gives.
doesn't have the epic like. What are you saying?
Well, it gives the guy enough time for like to develop as a character rather than just some foil for these teenagers to be there.
Yeah, for me, the biggest I love this movie, but for me, the biggest drawback for this movie is the tone. Like I said, the first third or first 40% of the movie is a very slice of life drama film. Then it becomes a more serious environment, like epic environmental film, not epic disaster film, natural disaster film. Then it's a chase, police chase, and then it's got like this romance subplot, and the tone can be very shitty. Like what my favorite Makoto Shinkai film is, like I said, Journey to Agartha, or Children Who Taste Lost Voices, as it's called in America, because they showed you that you shouldn't rely on magic to fix all your problems.
Yeah,
and in this movie, they rely on magic to fix literally all their problems, and while Tokyo gets fucked. So
yeah,
they get their selfish happy ending, and thousands of people in Tokyo drown to death.
Yeah, there was sort of like, well, in Children Who Chases Lost Voices, there was at least some escalation to the big sort of climax where everything kind of where the how do you say it, like the pay, or like you have to, like there's, like your wish will come true, but there's a debt you have to pay.
Yeah.
Here there's like, here there are moments, because like once the subplot, because these subplots come together and they're all kind of different, and so immediately when you get there, before you get there, like there's so much moments where they're wedged in, and that's what I mean. It's a bit of a nitpick, but I personally think that it was, I think that's kind of why there's some moments where it kind of takes you out of the film, but it does. But you're okay with it,
Yeah, and one last thing I want to say: the art is incredible. Same with the music. Art and music are always great in Makoto Shinkai films. They really fits the tone. As much as I complain about the tone of the film, the music fits everything incredibly well, and the incredible amount of you can see so much depth and on the colors and the reflections on everything. Yeah, for a movie like this, you really need to nail the reflections.
Yeah,
it's all about
Shinkai made me such a huge Radwimps fan now, because although I do think like it was a little, it was pretty mellow compared to their last collaboration in Your Name, which
Wait. Was it Asuna or Asuka? Because Asuna was the name of the girl in Children Who Taste Lost Voices. That movie took place in the 70s, and they had this adult woman. They called her Asuka or Asuna. So could it be that the woman?
Really?
Yeah. Remember they called her Asuna in Children Who Taste Lost Voices. In this movie, was it Asuna or Asuka?
I don't remember.
So it could be, because that movie took place in the 70s. It could be that, and here they have this older woman like the 50s who's like, they call her, I think, Asuka or Asuna. It could be that she's the same person from Children Who Taste Lost Voices.
Oh, speaking of which,
that would be really
Shinkai,
cool. He's created his own cinematic universe, anime universe.
Shinkai has like a little bit of Easter eggs for anyone who's seen his previous films. There's someone who looks like, there are people who look like the characters from Your Name.
I think that they were the characters from Your Name, were they?
Were they?
I think they were. Like in the ring in the mall when he's buying a ring for what's her name again?
For Hina.
Hina, when he's buying a ring for Hina, the woman there, wasn't she the main girl from Your Name?
Well, she definitely looked like it.
Yeah, so you could say that, they don't affect these characters from the ones that the character models they borrow from the ones from Your Name. They don't affect the story in any way, but they're nice but it's like saying, it's nice to think that they're all connected.
It's basically a Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but, it's one.
I gotta look it up. Was it Asuna or Asuka?
If it was, then I think Shinkai was definitely trying to put something together in terms of like how these films are similar in like dealing with like supernatural moments in the world.
Yeah.
Or maybe even in the outside world. I do have to say though that there's this climax the climax at the end was
so up the nose, or on the nose, or
it was very.
It went down to 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. Used to be at 100%.
It kind of had like this weird. it kind of reminded me of like a moment. It goes the direction where like I felt like it was gonna hit the direction of like in there was in like this movie Touch of Satan where he was going to. It doesn't go that route, but we do see like the aftermath of like this sort of outcome. I'm gonna try not to. I'm probably not gonna spoil it for you, just in case you really want to watch the movie.
I already told them Japan gets flooded. I already told them that.
Well, the reason why Japan gets flooded,
right.
because, but again, it goes to show that there is a price you pay for playing around with this gift, and whether you use this gift for good, that's gonna take a bit of a sacrifice, and I think a lot of us had to deal with that so a lot of us can relate to the characters because, we want to do something great with our talents, but, sometimes even if it pays the big bucks, you're probably going to have to, give up some things. Not all things, but, but like there are several things you have to like really give up and sacrifice in order to not just please yourself but please others as well. And I'm happy that this movie kind of went with it.
Yeah. So but my closing thoughts are, while it could be a little spotty with the tone, and not all the characters are as developed as you would like them to be. The amount of they really did a good job of developing the three main characters, which were Naru or
Hodoka.
Hina, sorry, not Hina.
And by the way,
her brother, her younger brother. There's this funny scene where he calls her younger brother who's like a 10-year-old sensei, which in Japan means like teacher. So it's funny how you keep calling him sensei, because like he gives him better relation advice than most of his older friends. That was funny.
That was funny.
I think Makoto Shinkai, most of his works have characters who act very mature for their age.
So I would definitely recommend this because, Shinkai really knows how to reel you in with like a good premise, but also have some good emotional weight. I do think that like it was shifting in tones compared to his previous works, but overall, it's a good time as always.
It's like an expansion pack to Your Name. It's like you can definitely tell how he's trying to you can tell he's trying to like use Your Name as a way of gaining publicity, but at the same time trying to be its own thing. It's not like a rehash of Your Name. It's its own thing, and it does a good job at what it does, what it tries to do.